Again, this is Kent McCusick, your minister, and welcome this morning as we have a service on the UU 8th principle. It's good to be with you.
Good morning and welcome. My name is Sarah Carlson and I serve on the UU Fellowship of AIM Board of Directors. I want to thank you all for being here today and extend a special welcome to any visitors and guests. After the service, please consider staying online for a virtual coffee hour and join us in conversation. We also hope that any visitors will sign the virtual guest book on the UUFA website to sign up for our weekly newsletter or have someone talk with you further about the fellowship. The UUFA Board of Directors voted to extend the closure of the fellowship building indefinitely. We continue to monitor pandemic information and have a regathering task force focused on reopening procedures for when it will be safer to be together in person. We are committed to providing a safe environment for all who call our fellowship home. And even though the building is closed, the fellowship remains open. Please read the weekly email and check the UUFA website for a complete schedule of the various ways we can be connected throughout the week. So, on behalf of this caring, nurturing congregation, I welcome each and every one of you to this virtual and sacred space. Here, we invite you into an experience of transformation, hope, renewal, and connections, which may inspire you to understand life in new ways. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Sarah. Every week we begin our service with the ringing of our chime 3 times. Once to wake the chime, once to open our minds, and once to open our hearts, followed by our chalice lighting.
In the world of the driven, let us be drawn in. Let your love be a given, let us be drawn in. To imagine, to dream, to create, to redeem, for the sake of the living, let us be drawn in.
Our chalice lighting this morning is by Rebecca Savage. We light our flaming chalice as a beloved people united in love and thirsting for restorative justice. May it melt away the tethers that uphold whiteness in our midst. May it spark us a spirit of humility. May it ignite in us radical love that transforms our energy into purposeful action. This is a chalice of audacious hope. This chalice shines a light on our shared past, signaling our intentions to listen deeply, reflect wisely, and move more boldly towards our highest ideals.
In the world of the driven, let us be drawn in. Let your love be a given, let us be drawn in. to imagine, to dream, to create, to redeem. For the sake of the living, let us be drawn in.
Our opening song this morning is Woyaya, sung by Leah and the UU Silver Spring, Maryland Choir.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going, but we know we will. We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know we're there, we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know we're there, we will get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there. We know we will. It will be hard, we know, and the road will be muddy and rough, but we'll get there. Heaven knows how we will get there, but we know we will. We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We'll know we're there. Oh yeah, yeah. 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 We'll know we're there.
The February offertory recipient, chosen by the UUFA Youth Group, is the Citizens Climate Lobby, a nonprofit, nonpartisan grassroots advocacy organization focused on national politics to address climate change. Their approach to climate education centers around values of relationship, integrity, and personal power, and is designed to create a broad, sustainable foundation for climate action across geographic regions and political inclinations. You can find more information on the Citizens Climate Lobby at citizensclimatelobby.org. And after the service, please consider going to the UUFA website, find the Giving tab, and make your offering that will support the work of this important organization. Thank you for your generosity. This morning, our Time for All Ages is a story written by Ibram X. Kendi, who you may know as the author of How to Be an Anti-Racist. He's written a children's book called Anti-Racist Baby. This is our Time for All Ages.
Hi, I'm Marley Dias. Welcome to Bookmarks, celebrating Black voices. Anti-Racist Baby is a book that provides simple steps we can all use to be anti-racist and teach others how to be anti-racist. Anti-Racist Baby, which is written by Ibram X. Kendi and illustrated by Ashley Lukashevsky, will be read by actor and activist Kendrick Sampson.
What up, y'all? My name is Kendrick Sampson, and I'm gonna be reading Anti-Racist Baby. Anti-Racist Baby is bred, not born. Anti-Racist Baby is raised to make society transform. Babies are taught to be racist or anti-racist. There's no neutrality. Take these 9 steps to make equity a reality. Number 1, open your eyes to all skin colors. Anti-Racist Baby learns all the colors, not because race is true. If you claim to be colorblind, you deny what's right in front of you. Number 2, use your words to talk about race. No one will see racism if we only stay silent. If we don't name racism, it won't stop being so violent. Number 3, point at policies as the problem, not the people. Some people get more while others get less because policies don't always grant equal access. Number 4, shout. There's nothing wrong with the people. Even though all races are not treated the same, we are all human, Anti-Racist Baby can proclaim. Number 5, celebrate all our differences. You gotta celebrate, you gotta do a little celebration. Anti-Racist Baby doesn't see certain groups as better or worse. Anti-Racist Baby loves a world that's truly diverse. Number 6, knock down the stack of cultural blocks. Better knock them down. Anti-Racist Baby appreciates how groups speak, dance, create as they choose. Anti-Racist Baby welcomes all groups, voicing their unique views. Number 7, confess when being racist. Nothing disrupts racism more than when we confess the racist ideas that we sometimes express. Number 8, grow to be an anti-racist. Anti-Racist Baby is always learning, changing, and growing. Anti-Racist Baby stays curious about people and isn't all-knowing. Number 9, believe we shall overcome racism. Anti-Racist Baby is filled with the power to transcend, my friend, and doesn't judge a book by its cover, but reads until the end. Now, what are some of the things you can do to be anti-racist? All right, y'all. Peace.
Born with it, adorned with it, a gift to the world, gon' give it. Fearlessly made, no need to be afraid. Angels are with you, the path is laid.
Don't forget who you are. 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 Good day.
And that is our Time for All Ages. I think it's time to sing.
This is Sue Kirsten. Our opening words this morning are Spirit of the Pioneer by Melvin Hoover. Reverend Hoover received the 2013 Distinguished Service Award from the UUA for his work in a wide range of social justice issues, including anti-racism, gender equality, environmental justice, and community building. So here's Spirit of the Pioneer. We can't change the past, but we can learn from it and build on it. We can't control the future, but we can shape it and enhance the possibilities for our children and grandchildren. We can't discern in the present the fullness of our actions and their impact, but we can be pioneers in our time, exploring fully the crevices and cracks where knowledge and new insights might be found. We can explore our spectrum of relationships and confront our complacency and certainty about the way things are. We can dare to face ourselves in our entirety, to understand our pain, to feel the tears, to listen to our frustration and confusion and capabilities that will empower and transform us. In the spirit of the pioneer, let us now go forth.
Each week, we take time in our service to share milestones from our lives, things that are significant, that are bringing us joy or challenge or gratitude. As I open the room to this time of sharing, be mindful of allowing there to be space between each sharing so that we're not overlapping. There is a time lag, and that's a possibility, and we'll just be patient and share until we're done. This is our time of sharing.
I have a milestone. It's a happy one, an anniversary. On March 2nd, day after tomorrow, the milestone is 13 years ago, I signed the membership book for the fellowship. And I enjoy remembering that milestone annually, and it gives me much joy, and I am thankful for being a member here. The end of my milestone.
My name is Ria Keinert, and just about exactly a year ago, the virus started taking things from all of us. And what it took from me, thankfully, was not my health, but it took away my livelihood and forced me into an involuntary retirement, which I much resented. And I do body work at work, I do massage, and I miss people and I miss touching people. And so I'm going to start back this Wednesday, just a tiny bit with people who've had their vaccine series, and I've had my vaccine series, just a few people. And I got to tell you, it means the world to me. Right after the service, I'll start setting up this very room, and it's going to be my treatment room again. And ooh, I'm getting all the feels. Thanks.
I'd like to share something. I got my first vaccine yesterday, and I had a bit of a reaction, and that's what I wanted to share. And it's no big deal, because today actually it was the day before yesterday. It was Friday. This is Sunday, right? And
I was fine all day Friday until the evening. I started feeling funny and woke up yesterday morning with a very severe headache. Well, you know, maybe I have a low pain threshold, but it seems severe to me. And my stomach was kind of queasy and I felt that way pretty much all day. I was able to do some stuff, you know, work around the house, and I didn't really make the connection for sure until my daughter called me and we talked about it. And then my granddaughter talked to me, we talked about it some more. And I became convinced that it was a reaction to the shot. And so I guess I'm telling you this because today I'm feeling pretty normal. And so I just want you to know that it's not unusual for people we don't hear a lot about this, I don't think, but I know my brother had reaction pretty much like mine, I think. And I know some other people have too. So I just want to put it out there that don't panic. You'll probably, most likely, you'll wake up the second day and feel more or less like yourself. And so anyway, I'm done. Gonna mute myself now.
I would like to again light a candle for Lotus Miller. I do hear from Alan and her son Doug. She has been living at the Hartwood House. She does have the virus, but she is doing very, very well. And I would just like to light a candle for her and know that we're all thinking about her. Thank you.
My name is Jonah, and I would like for you to hold my family on your hearts. We have lost, well, we didn't lose him. My brother died Thursday. He had signed a DNR when he entered into this last heart surgery, and he died a very peaceful death. And I just want to say that he is probably one of the most spiritual people I have ever known. And I feel so fortunate to have known him and had him in my life. Thank you. I'm complete.
This is Lee Mulgard. We both received our first COVID shot on Thursday. Had a reservation for 8:30 in the morning, and we were done at 8:20 in the morning. We walked in and it just was zip. So McFarland Clinic deserves a lot of credit for having a very, very fine system. I'm done.
This is Nancy Tepper. I see we're ending.
Go ahead, Nancy.
I just wanted to chime in. I had my COVID shot yesterday at Story Medical in Nevada, and that also was very smooth. And I was tired afterward, but had no other reaction.
For all those milestones that have been shared, and for those that we hold inside silently, know that in this community, no one ever needs to make the journey alone, and that you are loved. So with that in mind, let's join together in a moment of silence, holding all these joys and concerns. It is good to be together. Our next song this morning is hymn number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. This piece was put together by the choir at the UU Society of Laconia, where I began my ministry. And they are not recording in their fellowship hall, as you see, and that's a picture before they before they closed. They're recording their individual pieces at home, and their music director is putting it together. The lyrics will be on the screen, and so I invite you to sing along with the UU Society of Laconia Choir.
Though I may speak with bravest tongue, and have the gift to always love, and have not love, my words are vain as sounding brass and hopeless pain. Though I may give all I possess, and try so my love confess, but not be my love within, love to strangely thin. Come, Spirit, hold our hearts will tone, our spirits long to be made whole, that inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are freed.
Good morning. This is Ralph Gandy, and our reading this morning is All Get Free Together by Chris Kraft. Chris Kraft is a longtime organizer, educator, and writer working to build powerful, working class-based, feminist, multiracial movements for collective liberation. He is one of the leading voices in the country calling for and supporting white people to work for racial justice. All get free together. To become an anti-racist faith community, the key question for a white majority community is not, how do we get people of color to join our faith community? It is instead, how can we make a prolonged, spiritually rooted, engaged commitment to uprooting white supremacy within our community and take ongoing collective action to challenge it in society? Our goal is not to have white people sit alongside a person of color so as to affirm that those white people aren't racist. Our goal is to build and be part of beloved community, united to end structural oppression and unleash collective liberation in our faith communities, schools, neighborhoods, workplaces, and throughout society. Our goal is to join hands across the divisions of racism in our faith and in our communities and affirm the humanity in each other. Our goal is to join our hearts and minds to the task of destroying white supremacy in every worldview, policy, law, institution, and governing body of our society. For our faith communities to be places of healing from the nightmare of racism that haunts people of color and white people. For our faith communities to be places of nourishment, sustaining the multiracial struggles of our people to advance economic, racial, and gender justice. For our faith communities to be part of the continual process of working within the movement, but part of the journey to end oppression in society. For our faith communities to raise our children of all backgrounds to be freedom fighters and practitioners of liberation values. Our goal is for our faith communities to be spiritually alive, learning from and contributing to liberation cultures and legacies. For our faith communities to be welcoming homes for people of all colors, sexualities, classes, ages, abilities, genders, and citizenship statuses. For our faith communities to regularly invite us into and prepare us for courageous action for collective liberation held in loving community for the long haul. May our faith communities be active agents in the world to help us all get free together.
I invite you to sing along with Bill Cusack. Hush, hush. Somebody's calling your name.
Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh, hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Hush, hush, somebody's calling my name. Oh, dear Lord, oh, my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like a freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Well, it sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Well, it sounds like a freedom. Somebody's calling my name. Oh, dear Lord, oh, my Lord, what shall I do? What shall I do? Sounds like a justice. Somebody's calling my name. Well, it sounds like a justice. Somebody's calling my name. Yes, it sounds like a justice. Somebody's calling my name. Oh, dear Lord, oh, my Lord, what shall I do? 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 What shall I do?
This morning, we're talking about the Unitarian Universalist eighth principle. The theme for this month is beloved community. I feel certain that there was some intentionality to partner this theme with Black History Month. Our aspirations to be part of beloved community, to bring Black narratives, theologies, and spiritualities to the center of our faith, and to engage thought and actions individually, personally, institutionally, to be anti-racist, urge us to continue far beyond the limitations of 28 and sometimes 29 days. In the first UUFA board meeting this January, the youth group representatives, Jaden Fuqua and Matthew Jacobson Fisher, requested that we study and consider adopting the proposed eighth principle of Unitarian Universalism. Some of you may be thinking, what? I thought there were 7 principles. And I'll introduce and begin to answer this large and critically important question by identifying the request of the youth group as an invitation to strengthen all of our efforts to enter and be part of beloved community. Beloved community happens when people of diverse racial, ethnic, educational, class, gender, sexual orientation, backgrounds, and identities come together in an interdependent relationship of love, mutual respect, and care that seeks to realize justice within the community and the broader world. The youth group has asked the board to commit to the study and discussion of adopting the 8th principles as one of the goals for this year. The board has agreed to do that and will be engaging in study and discussion throughout this year. We invite you to join us in this study and discussion. Watch for special events and for future services. And then in this discussion, we engage it as in the spirit of pioneers, as coined by the Reverend Melvin Hoover, that we can dare to face ourselves in our entirety as a way to empower and transform everyone. At last count, 30 congregations have adopted the 8th principle prior to it being presented as a bylaw proposal at General Assembly in the next 2 years. This principle has the capacity to fundamentally change the future of Unitarian Universalism. The first draft of the proposed 8th principle was written by Paula Cole Jones and Bruce Pollock Johnson in 2013 and presented to the UUA Board and General Assembly in 2017. I'm going to bring it up on the screen so that you can see it as I read it. It currently reads, "We, the member congregations of the Unitarian Universalist Association, covenant to affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and our institutions." I was first drawn to Unitarian Universalism because of the principles, which have served as strong covenantal and moral guides since 1961. The principles guide our actions, aspirations, and priorities, and encourage us to affirm and promote core values, while the sources provide the context and grounding for those purposes and principles. Both the principles and sources have continued to evolve and change in the decades since they were first adopted in 1961. The principles were designed to be dynamic and not a fixed creed. Unitarian Universalism is the only religion or movement that intentionally builds in flexibility to acknowledge the importance of ongoing revealed truth. The Reverend Paige Getty recently commented that our identity is characterized not primarily by rituals and old texts, but by the way we agree to be together, continually learning and growing and changing as new information and insight is gained. Keeping the principles unchanged doesn't protect their sanctity. It just keeps them unchanged and perhaps at the risk of becoming irrelevant. End quote. Change happened when environmental awareness reached a critical mass in 1985, resulting in the seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. 36 years later, we are approaching, or actually have reached, a similar critical mass level of awareness that oppression and racism are preventing us from being part of the beloved community we profess and aspire to be. As Director of Racial and Social Justice in the Mid-Atlantic District of the UUA, Paula Cole-Jones worked with congregations for 15 years on the overlapping paradigms of the seven principles and beloved community. She realized that a person can believe there being a good UU and following the seven principles without thinking about or dealing with racism or other oppressions. The principles, as wonderful as they are really non-specific. The seven principles imply the eighth principle, but they do not explicitly hold us accountable for addressing racism or other oppressions directly. In a presentation to the UUA board, Paula Cole-Jones said, "For some of us, beloved community is a core theological principle. It is a core spiritual principle, and some of us are working towards that becoming another one of our principles, so it is explicit, so we won't miss it." The Reverend Carl Gregg observed that over the past 7 years, Paula has continued to advocate for the eighth principle. But there is an important reason why it was finally brought up at the annual UUA General Assembly in June 2017, and why a growing number of UU congregations are approving it at the local congregational level. Less than 2 months before the 2017 General Assembly, UUA President Peter Morales resigned in the wake of a controversy about racial bias in hiring practices. Now, there is every reason to think that both President Morales and his leadership team deeply supported our 7 UU principles. But tragically, the 7 principles were and are not enough to prevent the cumulative impact of implicit racial bias over time. Within Unitarian Universalism, the problem is not conscious aspirational white supremacy like the Ku Klux Klan, which seeks to intentionally create a more racist society. But despite our best intentions, living in a racist, sexist, classist, heterosexist, ableist society has caused each of us to sometimes unconsciously perpetuate systems of oppression in various ways. As psychologists remind us, the problem with the unconscious is that it is unconscious. Unitarian Universalism is a living tradition. We commit ourselves to regularly revisiting our principles and purposes to ensure that we are relevant. As we grow in understanding, our principles and purposes grow too. We must continuously examine our principles and purposes to see what is missing, what is no longer important, and whether the language is consistent with and communicates our core values to the current times. When there is not an explicit commitment to accountably dismantle systems of oppression, the tendency is for systems of oppression to be perpetuated. The eighth principle is an opportunity to make just such an explicit commitment. The principle calls us to be more faithful and accountable to each other, to engage in healthier communication and behavior, especially when harm has been done, and to be more spiritually whole. Black Lives of Unitarian Universalism, Diverse Revolutionary UU Ministries, also known as DRUM, and Allies for Racial Equity, a white organization, have endorsed this principle and support the accountability to dismantle racism, white supremacy, and other oppressions. This requires ongoing work on ourselves and our institutions in the long run. For people identified as white, it is too easy to ignore racial issues, which keeps white supremacy and the system of racism in our society alive. The eighth principle offers the most specific moral, ethical, social guidance of all the principles and comes from a feeling that we need something to renew our commitment to this work, to hold ourselves and each other accountable, and to fulfill the potential of our existing principles. Sounds like freedom. Somebody's calling your name. Sounds like justice. Somebody's calling your name. May we hear and respond to the youth of this community, inspired by their passion, hopes, and dreams for a better world. May we follow their lead to engage the possibilities of the eighth principle of Unitarian Universalism. May we hear the call to compassion, conscience, and may justice be our guide. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be. Our closing song today, Wake Now, My Senses, sung by Daniel Weeb.
Wake now, my senses, and hear the earth call. Feel the deep power of being in all. Keep with the web of creation your vow. Giving, receiving as love shows us how. Wake now, my reason, reach out to the new. Join with each Awake as your neighbor, both stranger and friend, praying and striving their hardship to end. Wake now, my conscience, with justice thy guide. Join with all people whose rights are denied. Take not for granted a privileged place. God's love embraces the whole human race. Wake now, my vision of ministry clear. Brighten my pathway with radiance here. Mingle my calling with all who will share. Work toward a planet transformed by our care.
Our chalice extinguishing words were written by Jim McGaugh. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go in mindless oblivion. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go without challenging yourself or others. When I say go in peace, I don't mean go in utter ease and comfort. When I say go in peace, I mean go in peace seeking justice. I mean go in peace committed to equal rights and opportunities for all. When I say go in peace, I mean go in the peace that is created when together we build communities of true solidarity, deep compassion, and fierce, unrelenting love. Go in peace.